The second GT racer to come out on Game Boy Advance here. Well, as it happens, it was joint first. Somehow I missed it when working through the Japanese launch titles, as it actually came out on the same day as GT Advance Championship Racing, THQ's pretty accomplished racer. That's maybe why I neglected this one until I got to the European release date in the series. I got confused between the two and assumed I'd already done it. Oh well, the Game Boy Advance series is all over the place chronologically anyway, and I've already skipped over other games so far that I will come back to eventually, promise, so let's not worry too much. The Top Gear series, not related to the TV show, featured really well on the Game Boy Color. There were 2 entries in the Top Gear Rally subseries. The first one was one of that handful of cartridges that utilized the rumble functionality, made perhaps most famous by Pokemon Pinball. It was a fun enough racer as well, with decent controls, and despite the quite small car, sprites still looked pretty good. The second improved on the first in nearly every way, apart from not having the rumble feature. Perhaps most impressive about number 2 was the innovative use of multiple sprite angles of the car, which gave this effect of them being 3-dimensional. Apart from obvious things like frame rate, it's fair to say that, graphically at least, not a huge stride forward has actually been made between the Color and the Advance games. Nothing looks bad per se, but equally nothing will make you say, oh wow, or really even make you stop to notice anything. The cars themselves only really differ visually in terms of colors, and the environments and tracks also don't vary a great deal. No roadside objects other than a few signposts and arrows. The tracks never really go up or down, it's all on one plane, and the draw distance also isn't really amazing. At first, the steering might feel a bit weird to some. It's very floaty, but it's supposed to replicate a more analog feel, which was the style at the time, or on consoles anyway, but that's quite hard to do with just a D-pad and keep it feeling alright. Tapping or feathering the directions will turn your car slightly, with longer held down presses increasing the amount you turn more, but it's almost like a sliding scale thing. A tap is as if you move an analog stick ever so slightly inwards, a long hold is like a full whack to the side. It's a bit tough to explain without getting into calculus and exponentials, but once you play it, you'll understand what I mean. Most D-pad racers you've played aren't this floaty. I suppose the motivating idea was one of realism. That realistic factor wasn't carried over to every aspect though. Don't even think about trying to follow a racing line here, as all that will happen is that you'll run off the road. It doesn't improve your time anyway, but the tracks don't really work like that. Whether you take a corner on the inside, the outside, or bang in the middle doesn't make your car go around it any faster. The safest way is to do your damnedest to stick to the center of the road as much as possible. Now when you're on your own, that's simple enough. Just make sure you brake in advance of any corner tighter than a 90-degree turn, and you should be fine. The problem arises when you're tied up in the field. Now there are never more than 6 racers, including you, in a race, which might be a bit underwhelming, and while the cars look small enough, you'd be surprised how often you bonk into each other. When this happens, the physics completely favor the car in front, even if that car's only in front by a bumper, and they'll shoot off forwards, with the car in the rear losing tons of speed. It's unrealistic and quite irritating unless you figure out how to use it in your favor. There are a bunch of tweaks that you can make to your car, but honestly, I didn't even touch these car settings, apart from to make the tires softer in rainy conditions, and I seem to get on fine, so whether they're more relevant later on or simply an unnecessary addition, I'm not really sure. It really doesn't seem to have that much effect on whether you can win a race or not. Perhaps you might be able to scrape a second or two from your fastest time, but I don't really care about things like that. There is a rudimentary track editor, which is fun for a little bit. Now you don't get tons of customization option, having a small handful of single tile pieces to cycle through, as well as some more complex pre-made sections that fit into a 2x2 area. Like I say, you'll probably only try it once or twice, but there's only slots for 2 tracks to be saved anyway, and they don't get incorporated into the seasons. As for the seasons, there are quite a few, and if you do well in the championships, you can augment the starting choice of 6 cars, with plenty of unlockables too. And an obvious plus point it does have over GT Advance, there's a save save battery option, meaning no obnoxiously long passwords to restart your game. Now, hey, look, it sounds like I'm complaining about a lot here, but that's really only because the positive aspects, and they do exist, aren't all that noteworthy. All in all, it's not that bad of a racer, and once you get the hang of how the steering feels, it'll be fun enough. It needed more variation for sure in terms of the track layouts, as once you've mastered one, the rest follow basically straight away. What's perhaps most of a shame is that it didn't really make any great leaps forward on the more powerful console. If a few more risks were taken in terms of graphics and functionality, maybe utilizing the shoulder buttons somehow, Top Gear GT Championship might have stood out a bit more from all the other tons of racing games that would come later on the Advance. As it is, this one is squarely in the middle of the field.